go right into map 1 here on day number 2 of the group stage at NAC4. It's Hera in the blue playing as the Japanese, up against Villese in the red playing as the Byzantines. It is Kawasan as our first map. I think no surprise that we see the Japanese picked up here. Byzantines, a very strong response, I think, in a number of ways. But a lot of questions to be answered early on this map. Which pawn? You know, do we match pawns 1 for 1? Do we split pawns? All of that really can affect the way you approach military production as soon as you hit the feudal age.
Absolutely. And it's also very tough because on Kawasan you have those 2 pawns and it's not always guaranteed that you're sharing the same pawn with your opponent. So you have to adapt a lot here. And for me, Byzantines is a little bit stronger because of the faster firing fire ships. That is very, very helpful. And yeah, so I think they have a slight lead here. Also getting free town watch really helps a lot as well. And Dash, we're kind of seeing something which is going to be a lot of action.
Exactly, just by happenstance, both players moving to the southern pond here. Hera, as the Japanese, is afforded the ability to only put 4 on wood because of the reduced cost in the lumber camp. So he can still get out for that dock, and will even get it up a little bit quicker with less of an investment on wood overall.
Exactly, and the fact that he only has 3 on wood right now tells me, yep, he definitely wants to go for a very fast fuel age. I would not be surprised to see him going up with 18 villagers even, which is extremely fast, and usually Byzantines cannot match that.
Yeah, similar approach to what you did, I think it was on Frigid Lake, where as soon as you got the dock up, 1 fishing ship out, you pulled all of your villagers, hadn't even invested in a lumber camp yet, just straggler trees, left 2 on stragglers, the rest onto food to race your way up to the feudal age. We'll see if Hera takes a page out of your playbook with a quick feudal age of his own.
Exactly, and I'm very curious as well how Hera is going to approach it, because if you're going into that matchup and face Byzantines, you're kind of like, going on to water only is always a risky thing to do, right? I mean, you can use the fishing boats to block the fires, but you also want to transition to land as fast as possible.
We've got the feudal age click already for Hera, but walls coming up for Villese. That tells me he has no intention of hitting the feudal age anytime soon. Is this a possible fast castle play?
Oh, it's not going to be fast castle. Loom is coming in now for Villese, and he will just be up a little bit later. But that's the thing, right? With Byzantines, you have to also focus on land, because you don't want to build any buildings, like military buildings. That's something you want to avoid. You want to invest all your resources into the border play, because that's where your strength is, and that's why we see Villese walling already. But Hera, you know, he's going to be having the timing attack, just 1 villager faster. No, 2 villagers even. I'm pretty sure he's going to have a good time on water.
Yeah, second dock going down just now, 1 minute away from the feudal age. And so definitely will have the advantage when it comes to controlling that southern pond. For Villese, again, this is my curiosity. You've put investment into walls, but I don't really see Hera going for land aggression anytime soon. So maybe an overinvestment. In that regard.
Exactly. And the problem is the wood he's spending right now, walling, and also the villager not really collecting resources because it's busy building buildings. That's a problem for him, right? And Hera, I'm pretty confident that he will have a good time on the lake here. We see a second dock coming up for Villese on the right-hand side, and on the top he's also opting to build a dock here, but I don't think he will be able to compete on water here.
He's got 57 wood right now.
Exactly.
That villager in the north is going to go idle. He invested into 4 fishing ships, so you feel you must defend the investment of those 4 fishing ships.
Absolutely, absolutely. The biggest issue is that he's just so late compared to Hera, and Hera, he spotted the dock of Villese, so he's going to be going all out with 2 docks fully. And so far we don't see any barrack coming up from him. He has 5 on gold, so that guarantees you the continuous production of the fire galleys. And we see both of them coming out already, and the fishing boats are going to have fiery experience.
Yeah, definitely already putting aggression onto those fishing ships. He's got another fire galley and a demo in the queue just behind that, so could get a sweet demo shot to grab total control of the southern pond. We do have 3 fire galleys in the queue as well for Villese, so while 1 fishing ship does go down right off the bat, pretty soon he'll be able to mount a bit of a defense, and these are Byzantine fire ships.
Yeah. I mean, we see the fire galleys now engaging against each other, and the demo could be huge here. Okay, he's not exploding it, it's just keeping the fire galleys away here. Both players microing very, very well, but it feels like the Villese is taking a good trade here, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe Hera getting a little too fancy with the demo, eventually decides to just throw it into the fire galley there to get a little bit of a numbers advantage. Retreating, though, is Villese to his repair villager. A villager sniped back at home, though. While all of that action was happening in the south, Villese didn't acknowledge the fact that he was getting raided on the gold by a single scout.
Exactly, and that is the problem, right? Like, Hera is, I think he's even the fastest player in the game. Maybe Liereyy Viper can compete there, and Hera is just in his comfort zone, like doing so many things at once, and Villese is really struggling right now.
And just like that, all 4 of the fishing ships that you invested in have gone down, and Hera has the numbers, 5 versus 3 when it comes to the fire galleys.
Exactly, just a beautiful display here. We see another engagement here, but it's 4 against 3. It's kind of obvious who's going to win this fight here. And while they're fighting, we have 2 fishing boats still working for Hera. And keep in mind, Japanese fishing boats are extremely efficient. Yeah,
we got we have a demo in production though, so possibly if these fire galleys remain grouped up, could be a big hit for Villese when it comes out. I have to wonder though, at this point, Jordan, if Villese considers just keeping enough of a presence here on the southern pond to keep Hera investing as he looks for the demo in the crevice. He gets a nice demo shot onto the fire galleys themselves, but Villese was able to pull the villager away. I think the proper approach for Villese here is invest enough to keep Hera interested while gaining an advantage up here in the northern pond. Hera, though, just as I say that, comes up north to drop a dock of his own.
Exactly. And what I personally am curious about is that Villese doesn't have any fishing boats so far on the top side. I think he added a fire galley now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he added a real galley. Oh, which, if the timing was just a little bit earlier, he could have denied that dock, and I think that's what he had in his mind. But, missing it by a couple of seconds, and you're right. Now it's, again, an investment that you're regretting. You would much rather at this point have the fire galley.
Absolutely. I guess Villese was thinking, okay, there's no point, or like there's no chance that Hera has a dock up there as well. Maybe he even scouted nothing and it was like, okay, I'll just get a galley just to be on the safe side. But Hera timed it extremely well. Has a dock up in the north now as well. And instead of being able to produce fishing boats right now, he's forced to compete for the water as well. While on the southern part, he kind of has to make a decision. Does he commit further on water, or is he giving it up? But I guess you're forced to compete for that as Byzantines.
Yeah, full control for Hera right now. Villese keeping those docks garrisoned in the south just to make Hera consider the possibility of numbers upon ungarrisoning it. We got a little bit of a scout engagement over the villager here, and with the hill bonus, does look like he'll get the snipe, denies the quick walls, and that's big for the possibility of repairs here on the northern pond.
Yeah, overall the resources are looking rather low, so no one is even close to Castle Age. Both are very committed to fight for the water. I'm surprised that Hera is competing that long. Usually you want to transition to land soon, I would say, because against Byzantines in the long run you will lose the water, there's no question about it. Yeah, so let's see how that one shapes out in the next minutes.
Yeah, demo for demo trade, and it continues to be a fire galley battle down here. Still numbers in favor of Hera, so he is able to keep Villese pinned up against these docks. Those 2 fishing ships working away, and those 2 fishing ships are essentially the eco advantage that Hera holds right now in the game overall.
Exactly. I gotta compliment Villese here. The fact that he's always able to reserve or preserve his fire galleys between those docks. It's like the way the fire galleys work is sometimes very strange. That you can hide behind the dock, and then the fire is not really dealing as much damage. But okay.
It's honestly incredible to me. This game feels as even as it is when I check back in with the KDs here.
Yeah.
Villese in the military KD, 9-18. He's also lost 6 eco units to just the 1 of Hera, and yet resources look relatively similar. Hera, though, market up, stone sold, and just like that, he has the resources for Castle Age.
Exactly. We talked about it a couple of minutes ago. Is that villager going to go down? Yep. Nice snipe by Villese. He even managed to go away here. And now that's 2 units killed here in terms of the economy department for Villese. And we see a demo exploding. Yeah, taking that one fire galley down, damaging the other one very severely. And now it's just like, it's kind of like a stalemate, I feel like, on that lake.
Yeah. more than anything, it's just investing APM, right? And you're you're kind of forcing your opponent to continue investing both their attention and some of their actions into dealing with the pressure that you're putting out onto the pond. But minute and 45 seconds away from Castle Age's Hera. We're still 500 food away on the side of Villese for a Castle Age click.
Exactly. Could, you know, use the market, but I don't even think he has a market available to him. So he's going to be severely behind in terms of the Castle Age timing. And yeah, I'm curious how Hera is going to approach it. Now, we see the market, but obviously that's a little bit late compared to Hera. And yeah, Hera is going to have a good time. Yeah,
Villese will be clicking about the time that Hera reaches the Castle Age himself. And again, still with numbers here on the southern pond, a solid demo. Is able to even kill that one on the side of Villese, pushing this force back. These two fishing ships continue to work away.
Exactly. I mean, Byzantine fire galleys are the best in the game, but with that micro of Hera, you know, it's tough to make them work. And yeah, also killing the demo without getting any damage on it is obviously a very nice thing. And I think at that point, Villese has to accept the fact that he lost the southern part of the border, and I think he has to focus on the northern side. But
yeah, Villese has to accept it, and Hera knows it because he just produced 2 more fishing ships. So he believes that he actually has won, I think, both of the ponds, because the fishing ships he created are up here in the north.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Such a beautiful display by Hera, and he doesn't even bother with land at all. Like, he's just dropping a TC now in the middle with all the forage bushes, so that's just beautiful positioning here.
Yeah, Spearman coming forward. He did drop a stable, so some scouts out onto the field as well, but with an earlier Castle Age timing, he's going to use that advantage in that window to go drop a TC in the middle. That means he won't be needing to drop a farm for a very long time.
Exactly, especially with the fish and the berries there. I don't think we will see farms anytime soon here, and now Villese obviously is panicking. He's walling up because he's so far behind in terms of the castle time. Then he has lost the scout as well. That was a very nice snipe by Hera. He paid attention there. So Villese doesn't really have any intel at all. He has no units on the map, and anything could happen from Hera's side. So he has to be extremely cautious now the way he's playing.
Yeah, so while he doesn't have the info, good heads-up play by him to complete those walls on the northern side of his base, because it is right now only melee military for Hera, so they're going to run into the walls. He is pinned in a bit, but he's bought himself some breathing room to get to the Castle Age and figure out what his next approach is from there.
Nice.
For those of you who don't know what just happened, Jordan accidentally clicked one of the memory buttons on our LeetDesk over here, and the caster just started raising up into the heavens. Confused the heck out of both of us. Okay, stable being dropped behind the walls here from Villese, so keeping this a secret from his opponent at the very least.
Yeah, Dash, next time we will sit the other way. I was like, what's going on?
You never sit on the left side again. Oh, that was too funny. And nobody saw it. It was perfect.
Yeah, took me 5 seconds. Yeah.
Castle Age has been reached by Villese, looking to see what his first couple moves will be, and it's a double TC drop. So he's looking to go to 3 TCs and chase Hera down in the Vil count.
Exactly. I mean, that's typical for Villese. He's kind of known for the 3TC, no risky plays, and we also saw that being displayed in the graphics there. Yeah, so let's see how Villese can manage to pull ahead here. He will be behind in terms of economy, no question about it, but Byzantines obviously is going to be the strongest civ if you're going to the late game.
I think it can't just be 3 TCs and boom, though, because of the fact that both pawns have gone over to your opponent in control. And so while Hera drops a 3rd TC of his own, at best you can match Vil production for Vil production, and your opponent also has those fishing ships.
Exactly. It's just a tough one for Villese right now, right? Because he lost the water on both lakes, and now he's forced to make a decision. Like, how does he want to approach the game? He knows that his civ is better in late game, because they have the bomber cannons, they have very cheap trash units, which is very handy in those kind of on those kind of maps. So he wants to play it safe, but Dash, I don't think Hera is going to give him this freedom to build up his economy. I doubt it.
I don't think so either. He's already got his monastery up in the center of the map, while Villese was forced to drop one back at home. Curious to see if and when Hera decides to put a little bit of Castle Age pressure into his opponent's base from this very convenient hill in the center of the map.
Yeah, I like the fact that Villese actually went for another scout. He just wanted to get that unit out to get more exploration and get more knowledge. But look at the timing by Hera. He even spots the stone. Like Hera is on point. Like he doesn't make any single mistake. I have not seen one single mistake by Hera this game, and he definitely shows that he came here to play.
Without a doubt, even scouting forward with monks. If that doesn't tell you, you feel like you have total control over the map. That said, we've got the scout cavalry coming out, looking for the snipe. Will the conversion come through? Doesn't look like it. Great snipe out of Villese, going to be able to retreat from there as well.
Yeah, that's also a beautiful thing for Byzantines, because they get town patrol for free upon reaching Castle Age as well. And you literally see the entire map with that technology. So it's just very handy.
We're going to have an imp click in the next minute here from Hera. He's dropping a university in the center of the map. He already has the monastery, so that's his second building. There's the imp resources. As soon as the university completes, we'll have an imp click, and at that point, I'm very worried for Vilese's chances in this game.
Absolutely. And usually, Byzantines is the one who's upping faster because they have the cheap imp technology compared to the other civilizations, right? But no, Hera is just so far ahead. He also managed to gather 4 relics for his lovely monastery here, and that gives him a lot of relic gold, and that's very nice for him. I wonder what the approach is going to be. I guess we will see archery ranges. That's my bet.
Archery ranges and a forward castle. He's got 10 vills on stone right now. Just got the stone for that castle. We see the vills coming forward. It's wonderfully placed right at the edge of the hill, so he'd still have a hill bonus if anyone was trying to push it back with siege, and gives him kind of a launch point for he thinks better of it. And I think he understands with how far ahead he is that there's not much of a contest that can come with his castle placement, so let's make it even more aggressive. Let's threaten the production buildings, that blacksmith, that market, and make it even more difficult for Villese to gain any ground.
Absolutely. I'm still surprised by, with the entire situation, that's even a little bit of a too defensive castle.
Conservative, huh?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like a Viper castle, right? Yeah. Like if it was doubt, it was on the TC of Villese right now. Yes. So, and I think in this game it would even go up.
Well, there you have it. Castle's up. Fletching coming in. Ballistics on its way as well. 1 minute and 10 seconds till Imp is reached. Villese just able to click Imp himself.
Yep.
But he has to survive for 2 whole minutes. Doesn't have a castle of his own just yet up onto the field. It's going to be a difficult one.
Absolutely. The only thing he has going for him is the fact that Byzantines have access to bombard cannons, while Japanese don't have that. But with Japanese, usually can counter that with redemption monks. And he's even walling Villese.
He's thinking of everything. He's thinking of absolutely everything. Yeah. This has felt like such a smooth game, start to finish here for Hera. Doesn't feel like he's been thrown for a loop at any point. He's understanding once again, what are my opponent's win conditions from this point forward? It would be being able to expand, stall the game out to the point where my tech advantages or my timing advantages are no longer relevant. And so here we go. Imp is hit. We've got the first treb under production already. Hera's looking to put a close to this one nice and fast.
Absolutely. He also has all the economy upgrades, conversion on the scout as well. It was a 1v1 trade, and those 2 monks, at least one will go down for sure, guaranteed. And we see a camel joining the fray as well, because you know, he's not too happy right now how things went so far.
Yeah, chemistry on its way as well. Second castle going up on this stone. Hera will be quick to start mining that as well. We're taking a look at Villese, still a minute away from the Imperial Age. Plenty of archery ranges up in the back, though, so it's going to be an Arbalest play.
Yeah.
And I like this castle placement, because you know that you are conceding a lot of ground, but you would be losing any castle that you place far forward.
Exactly. So Villese needs that castle to be alive, right? He wants to get traps out, he also wants to get conscription out, and Hera, he's like, I feel like
just rude placing stone walls like that.
Like Liereyy and Hera, they have practiced with each other. You can tell that because both of them do that, and I absolutely love it. It's like such a smart thing to do. It just reduces the space you have for your stuff, and now we see the camel being converted as well, and yeah, chemistry is coming in. We don't see any units being produced in terms of the military department except trebuchets so far by Hera. So he has not made his decision.
Guard tower.
Yeah, Gartar. Okay, love it. With Japanese, you get obviously the unique tech.
Eventually.
Thank you. I didn't know.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, but I think it's a good point. As you mentioned, not a ton of military units, right? And so really, it's a siege push and supported by towers and castles.
Yeah. Which is awesome to do, right? Because with those trebuchets and also with the huge timing advantage he had, he's capable of getting so much space. And
wow, Villese tapping out says, you know what, I don't even think it's worth. Yeah, maybe I could extend the game another 10 minutes, but feels like it's already done and dusted at that point. Just a beautiful play, start to finish from Hera.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, I played Hera a couple of times as well the last weeks and months, and I feel like he has stepped it up again, and it's just scary to face him. It's like, as we saw in this game, he doesn't do any single mistake. Like, you have to be 100% flawless in your game to even have a chance. If you do a little bit of slip-off, you're out.
And like you said, it's been such an interesting journey for him as a player and his evolution, because back in the days of talking about this young 17-year-old Hera who's got greater APM than everybody else and is kind of a micro nerd but didn't have the macro to support it, he's really flipped that narrative on his head, and he's so much more a stable player. Hard to find holes in his game.
Exactly.
And we saw it on display just here. All that said, Villese is very much capable of similar things. And so we'll see if he can reset himself for map number 2 here.
Exactly. And Villese is also known to be extremely confident, and emotionally, like the mental part is very strong for him. He went a lot into the deciders in the past, and he always won there, or most of the time.
Here we go. Taking a look at the map draft yet again. Villese, both home maps, way more closed styled maps. So wouldn't be surprised if he opts for one of his own home maps here in map number 2. Also has quite a few. Well, what's interesting is we don't have a lot of the traditionally powerful, or what are considered, because of snipes, right? We've got the Portuguese and the Burgundians already sniped out from what would have been strong closed map civs. So then you're looking at things like the Poles and possibly Lithuanians for the. Like, one of your 2 closed massives here is Poles. What do you go 100%. Secondarily?
You could go for Hindustanis, for example, or Gujaras. Hindustanis are amazing at booming in general because of
cheaper vills.
Exactly, and that helps a lot, right? And they also have they have kind of everything in terms of the tech tree except halberdiers, which they had in the past. So it's just with Hindustanis you can never make something wrong. And I would say those 2 civs are the most likely ones for the close ones. If we take a look at Hera civilizations, obviously, Persian is not going to be there. That's
they go to Frigid Lake.
A Frigid Lake, most likely.
They have to go.
Exactly. Italians, very likely to be on Golden Swarm. Or we go for Vikings Golden Swarm, and Italians could be used on a closed map as well. Oh, we actually see Mayans on Hip Arena, and Dash, that's something which surprised me because I've never seen Mayans before on this map.
Yeah, the Poles won't surprise many people in the hands of Villese here as the red player on Hippo Arena, but yes, it's Hera in the blue opting for the Mayans. I mean, if you didn't expect it, I can't necessarily imagine that Villese would have expected himself playing into this matchup. So talk me through the approach then for the Poles. When seeing the Mayans on the other side, does it change anything about the way you want to play this out?
Not too much, I would say. Like, you know that you're going to face Halberdier and Arbalest / Plumes, most likely Plumes. So that's the unit composition you will face. I would say even 100%, because Eagles are not going to have the best time against the cheap cavalry. With Poles, like, you should not be distracted. Like, you just play your stuff, make a lot of fallbacks, get a huge boom going, and then just try to mass as much as possible.
Okay, hear me out.
Dash,
your opponent doesn't have scouts. Should you focus more on pulling in those 5 relics as the pole player? Because your opponent doesn't have that unit.
It's a good question. I don't think it would be a good play, because by investing into the relics, you invest into monastery, into a monk. Like, it takes time to get the relics in as well. So it's the point of investment is really later, let's say. And I think it's better to approach this map with a very economical focused strategy. That's at least the meta currently. And I don't think it will change too much, but it's definitely a nice thought.
Just low elo thought. Oh, lordy. Okay. Both players in lockstep again. It's arena, so there's not too much to be discussed in the Dark Age. Both players looking to push in their deer, make sure that they're bringing in that food as quickly as possible. They want to hit good Castle Age timings.
Yep.
We'll see 3 TCs drop for both players.
Most likely. I mean, Hera could also say, oh, I'm going to go completely wild here. I don't have any chance against Poles with their timing. I will go on stone, drop a castle in his face because he's not going to expect that, and then plumed archers all over the place.
Okay.
What are the chances for that?
I would like to see it.
I would love it.
It would be a way more active game for us to cast at that point.
That's make yourself comfortable.
Without a doubt, yes. Oh, boy.
I can play around with the table.
Oh, lordy. 6 seconds idle TC time for Hera. He's doomed.
Yeah. I think we can go to the next game here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the tricky part with Mayans. Like, you start with 50 food instead of 100 with the other civilizations, but they start with 1 village or more. So 6 seconds is, GG.
That's it.
It's like, why are they still playing?
Okay, Hera moving out here to drop his mining camp on gold. We'll be clicking up around that 24 pop number, 25 pop.
Yeah,
there it is, 24 pop for himself. Would assume that Villese is not too far behind. Although hasn't moved out to gold just yet.
Usually with Poles you go on stone.
To stone, right.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just yesterday. So that was new to me. The 1 Vil on stone to then sell 100 stone.
Yeah. Do you know who did that? Like, it was a very good player.
Oh, was that?
Who did that again?
I think it may have been a GL player.
Yeah,
like but it was one of those really good GL players.
Yeah. I think TaToH are those who
those
would
are
do
the guys
something like that.
They won series, so I think that's what makes them good. Chat's trying to help me out, thinking I don't know. Okay, it was Jordan.
I always see Viper.
Because before the nerf, to the gold generation on Poles was stone. You didn't used to sell stone. It was usually like 2 or 3 Vils on to stone. No, and you would generate enough gold by virtue of that.
Yeah, some players did it that way. I personally don't think it was the best approach because you stockpile a lot of stone until going to Castle Age, so you can drop a castle right away, kind of. So we saw that more often that stone was being sold, and Dash, it's getting exciting. We're getting into Feudal Age here.
Into Feudal Age, here we go. Villese has 2 Vils out to stone. He'll be a minute later to the Feudal Age, and so Hera's going to have that advantage if he does decide to go for the 3 TC boom, as he drops a blacksmith and a market at home.
I have bad news.
What's the bad news?
I don't see anything on stone. We will not see the castle forward.
No castle drop, not at all.
No.
No chance.
Yeah.
He's got perfect resources for the Castle Age click. Building's about to complete. We do have a barracks being dropped for the Poles player.
Dash, maybe Villese was thinking the same as you. Hey, my opponent doesn't have access to scouts. I'm going to grab those relics.
That's what I'm thinking the same. I'm thinking the same.
Or
Feudal Age about to be arrived for him. I would expect there's the stable and the market.
You know what Villese thinks? He needs a stable to prevent the forward castle. That's next.
We're 3 levels deep. This is Inception level deep on this one. But there it is, Castle Age click. Both of the eco upgrades coming in for Hera. We've already got double bit axe clicked for Villese. As soon as those buildings complete, he'll be clicking to castle as well. Farms being dropped for Hera. I mean, come on, you're on arena. You could get the perfect farm placement, and he missed it by 1 tile. You're gonna have a gap in your farms. Look, I will cut you slack on every open map to not place farms correctly, but what else are you doing in arena?
Thinking about strategies, okay? It's a high intense game here.
Oh, lordy.
What is interesting to me is that Villese actually went for the wood upgrade before he went for the horse color.
Yeah, and he's still dropping farms, actually.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll complete the horse collar upgrade before at least those 2 farms are able to complete, so still gets the value out of those. Drops a few more. Food eco for Poles is going to get rolling real fast.
Yeah, so we see 200 stones still available, so it will be a 3 TC play by Hera, there's no question about it. I still dream of the castle, I'm pretty sure we will see that one. But okay, stable for Villese, he will I think he will build one scout just to be able to push away that one eagle, and then he has the full map to gather the relics, which is a good strategy to go for. I wonder who came up with that idea.
I couldn't tell you that one either. I'm sorry, I'm not up on my AoE trivia for the day. 2 TCs dropped for Hera on woodlines and stone and gold. It is interesting to me that he did keep 2 villagers on gold this whole time.
Yeah, that's usually an indicator that he wants to build a monastery.
Exactly.
A nice micro by Hera, and the fact that Villese, no, he has the 2 scouts and the eagle has no chance. Like, there's nothing it can do, and it's also slower than those 2 scouts, right? And now Villese has full freedom to do whatever he pleases to do, and we see indeed the monastery coming up here, a heavy plow in there, and this time he does the heavy plow before the bow saw. I personally love it because with poles you obviously get 8% of your food deposited into the mill right away, and if you have heavy plow, obviously it's going to be a little more food here.
And yeah, so the approach here for Villese is still going to be a 3 TC approach, but he delayed the 3rd TC to get that monastery up. With 3 scouts on the field, he kind of has total control of the center of the map, and he's going to look to collect all 5 relics for himself. Exactly. If Hera doesn't contest.
Exactly. I mean, with mines, I would say, like, of course, getting in the relics is a dream scenario, but it's not like the most important thing, because your gold lasts longer, your entire resources last longer, if I'm not mistaken, 10%, and therefore, Hera also knows, like, if he now commits to eagle play as well, it's not going to be too beneficial because his opponent can add more scouts. Light Cav are just stronger than the eagles, and he will just play a chase game where he's saying, no, I don't want to be bothered with that stuff. I'll just play 3 TC boom right away, just get my economy as strong as possible, and then go for the halberdier plumed play here. He has 4, okay, 1 on stone right now, so you can see already it's definitely going to be plumes here.
Yeah, and clicking loom, which is kind of interesting, because it suggests that you're actually considering bringing some vills out into the center of the map sometime soon.
Yeah.
But doesn't have the resources just yet to drop that castle, only now producing more and more vills onto the stone, but does have a nice little eco lead. 9 villagers ahead at this point because of his ability to get onto those 3 TCs that much quicker than Villese.
Dash, do you think we could see Hera mind tricking Villese and saying, I will completely go for the Eldorado Eagles?
Well, how do you bait him into thinking that, though?
That's the hard thing.
Like, what is the indicator? As a pro player, what would make you think that's what my... I mean, it would just be seeing a certain number of barracks?
Yeah. Like, when you see the barracks and maybe also armor upgrades on the infantry, then you know, okay, your opponent is committing onto that. But yeah, it's very hard, and like that doesn't make any sense to play Eagles there. But I was just like, yeah, you know, in a crazy world.
Because I'm with you, I don't necessarily see in an even game state late how the Mayans are necessarily going to overcome the Poles. And so you kind of continue racking your brain for some kind of a creative play out of Hera.
Absolutely.
To throw Villese for a loop. Although all of that said, he has just built himself a steady eco advantage in terms of build numbers. Resources collected, though. Villese is still ahead, and that's all because of those full works and the ability to drop heavy plow farms.
Exactly. And now no relics have been gathered yet, but obviously Villese...
One's on the way back, or the first one just got delivered, and I like it. He's going for the relics closest to Hera's base before grabbing the ones behind that.
That's super smart, and you should always do that, right? If you see your opponent is not committing at all onto that fight, you gather his relics first. That way you just have the maximum efficiency there. And we see wheelbarrow coming in, loom incoming as well. So, and I think if I'm not mistaken, there were villagers heading out as well by Villese.
Jordan, I'm not going to lie, this is starting to feel like a repeat of game 1 in a number of ways. Well, okay, we've got some villagers coming forward for Villese, so it looks like he's trying to throw a wrench in that plan. But I'm taking a look at Hera's resources along with a university and a monastery drop. Means he's looking for that imp click, and he'll have just enough stone by the time he gets to imp where he could come forward.
Exactly. The thing is with Mayans, with the plumed archer, you have a beautiful unit that can compete very nicely against Poles in general, because the Cav, they don't have access to the +4 armor, they only have the chain barding armor, which makes them very weak against range units. So Hera will go for that, right? And
yeah.
like, if you think about it, Pose is one of the main picks on this map, and he picked Mayan, so he knows exactly, okay, what is going to hit me and how can I counter it.
Barracks. It will
be a halbadier opening, I suppose. That's the only thing which makes sense.
Has to be. In the polls. You're going to play. But hey, I'm hoping for you that you get your El Dorado Eagles. He idled his TCs. At 70 villagers, he idled all 3 TCs to get himself that imp click. There's the pikeman upgrade. No surprise. Look how many villagers he's spamming up. Those will be moving out soon enough to go ahead and drop a castle. I don't think he's aware, though, because of lack of scouting,
no chance
of this siege workshop in the middle of the map. So what if you see this siege workshop, do you continue to just walk past it and drop the forward castle, or do you rethink your castle placement?
I personally wouldn't care. Doubt for sure as well. Not as well. It's just like the siege workshop right now.
Doubt never second guesses the castle placement. When he's made his decision, it's all or nothing.
It's on. Yes. It's on. And this is a beautiful thing for Hera right now, because he circumvents the siege workshop. It doesn't have any utility right now at all, and the castle will be at the spot where the 4th TC of Villese is going to come up. And he sees so many villagers, and he cancels the TC as a reaction.
This was giving me vibes of Nicov Yo Day 1, where Nicov attempted to protect his forward gold, and I think that was a bit of a misplay in the face of a forward castle. So I think this is a good adjustment by Villese, and immediately still looks to gain some space outside of his base with a castle being dropped in the south here.
Absolutely. With Pulse, you don't want to be pinned down in your base. I learned that lesson yesterday. And
although I think he, similarly though, you had, it didn't end in the way you would have wanted. I appreciated your castle placement as well, right? Knowing that you were already on the back foot, you didn't try and place it too far forward. But let's see here. Hera already in the Imperial Age ballistics coming in. Bodkin as well. Plenty of pikes on the field.
I love that position of Hera. I mean, he will have the access to pikemen halberdiers very soon if he sees that his opponent is actually committing on to the cav. But you don't really want to do that, because you know exactly, like, the post player is not going to commit onto the cavalry play, because he sees his opponent is already on the proper tech to counter that. And now Oppo spamming just to get more information, and the only option Villese has now is go for Arbalest. And hello, with Hera, Mayans, Plumed Archers, they are perfect counter to that.
Now, Hera does not know that this castle is where it is. He's going to get vision of the stone when this castle goes up. But to your point, also unaware of the military choice here from Villese so far. Teching, though, into all of those archer upgrades does mean it will be Arbalest, so the pikemen not going to be nearly as effective at that point. He did manage to pick up all 5 relics, but the first target of the trebuchet is that monastery, so they've just been ejected. Villese is going to have to build a new one and relocate those relics if he wants to maintain that gold income. Also dropping a defensive castle as we speak.
Super smart. And now Hera, like, it is... He's losing a couple of villagers, most likely, against that castle. I think it's going to be a surprise for him that there's a castle out there already. He reacts now. And, you know, for Hera, his entire game plan is based on the fact that he is able to produce plumed archers. So it is super important for him to keep those castles alive. And ideally, he would want to produce plumed archers now as well, but he doesn't have the possibility to do so because he has to produce trebuchet. Now it's all about who wins the castle fight here, and I think they will trade here.
Always the difficulty of wanting to go for your unique unit as your main military unit is that if you also need trebs, you have to stall out production one way or the other. And so does move all 3 of his trebuchets down here to the south to try and deal with this kind of satellite base that Villese has built for himself, even looking to bring all the pikemen in to snipe the treb. Unfortunately, the house wall doesn't go up, but stone walls, perhaps? Did he buy himself the space to prevent it? Only a few of those pikemen can come in for hits onto the treb, and they don't do much damage to these trebs. It's an investment, quite an investment.
No, it's a huge investment, and Hera should know better, right? Yesterday, Villese showed everyone how well he can repair those trebuchet.
Yeah, one villager able to get in there for the repairs. Unfortunately, though, doesn't have enough villagers to keep the castle itself alive. And so now these 4 remaining halberdiers will actually be able to do work, and Hera can start to focus back on Villese's base.
The trebuchet of Hera was like, okay, you guys are shit. I will help you out here.
Lordy.
Those villagers, they went ham on the repair here, but I mean, Hera was able to kill that castle, and he still has his castle alive here. So this is a beautiful position for him. Villese is still on top with the score. However, if you take a look at the population, 140 against 120, and Hera has the map control.
Yeah, it's worked out tremendously for Hera. Again, he's kind of split the forces of Villese with his castle placements. You see even Villese looking to place a TC in the north, knowing that he's about to be constricted and smothered in his own base, is forcing a fair amount of repairs on this castle here from Hera, and still keeping this Treb alive, my goodness, in the face of men with spears. These villagers show no concern for their own well-being, eventually will retreat back to the safety of a TC, and the Treb will go down, but not before one of the castles from Hera does go down itself.
Exactly, and on the top, as you mentioned, the C attempt by Villese. Hera spots it obviously with those houses, and we saw skirms being produced by Villese. So he didn't go for the arbalest, he went for the skirms here, and now finally, finally skirms are hitting the fray here.
Skirms are hitting the fray, but that means that those 5 barracks that were dropped earlier are already perfectly positioned to start producing some eagles to deal with those. We've got enough plumes on the field as well. This is...
Oh god, this feels like Age of Empires 4.
Absolutely chaotic game here.
Everyone repairing the siege, and it's just not touchable right now.
Yeah, all that said, look at this. Hera's about to lose his second castle on the front.
I like that thought by Hera. He's saying, okay, I will lose 2 castles. I will not have the production to go for those plumed archers, and therefore Eagles is the obvious choice here.
Okay.
But
lack of privileges and Cavalier clicked. For Villese, he knows that without castles, you're relegated to only your barracks units. Sure, Halberdier strong against those Cav, but Eagles not so much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, by the way, for saying how that name is. Yeah, it's like I always say the unique tech here for post, because my tongue cannot handle that stuff. And obviously with Mayans, you have the Halberdier Eagle combination as well, which is very, very strong as well. So you're not 100% reliant on the plumed archers here, so everything is fine for Hera. But obviously, Villese is doing such an amazing job. Like, he has been put under so much pressure, and he's still able to, you know, hold very well here. But the score is very, very close. They're switching around here all the time, and now very important tech as well for Poles, crop rotation.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's going to do wonders around those folwarks again. 8% of the value of the farm when you drop it around one of those folwarks. But Villese, I feel like, has brought himself squarely back into this match. He's put Hera on the retreat, and this is where we start to talk about just the tech advantages, or options rather, that the Poles will have over the Mayans.
And Dash, we finally, after 32 minutes into the game, we see what the Mayans player can do. Eldorado.
We knew where it was going from the beginning.
Yeah, of course.
From the beginning, we called it. It was the Eldorado Ego play. He's also bringing in that 3rd armor upgrade for those Eagles alongside it. Crossbow clicked on the other side for Villese, though, so he's gonna have a perfect mix of a melee unit in the Cav and a ranged unit in the crossbows. As long as he's got enough gold, which he does currently in the bank, he'll be able to produce for days. Those 5 relics also already doing work for him.
Absolutely. And those 5 relics could be the game changer. They don't have to be, but could. We will see. I mean, Hera still has access to so much gold on the map. He has 200 population almost, and he is just missing the last upgrade on the Eagles. The Elite Eagle Warrior upgrade incoming, and now we will see a huge battle coming in very, very soon. There's a trebuchet burning right now. The Cavs or the Knights are not chasing that one, so 3 trebuchets still preserved here, and it's just 10 seconds, and then we see a fight, I suppose.
Admittedly, Villese's a little behind on his cavalry upgrades, right? Still only sitting on the 1st armor and 1st attack upgrades. While the Cavalier upgrade did come in, I would have thought with this timing, you know, he could have taken the fight, but
absolutely. This
is a lot more difficult now. A couple of Halberdiers mixed in with all of those Elite Eagles. The skirms are going to do next to nothing to the Elite Eagles themselves, and he might just have the mass to eat through these Cav and take down the Trebs. Villese recognizes that. He's in full retreat mode. He needs to buy himself a little bit more time. Arbalest almost complete. Iron casting, so prioritizing once again attack over defense on the cavalry.
Yeah, And it's just crazy. Like that army which Hera has been able to mass himself is just so lethal for the Pulse player. You know, I love the fact that Villese acknowledged the situation and, you know, just retreated. If he had fought further, his population would have plummeted so much, and we see another engagement here coming in, but I just don't see Villese winning this one because Hera's units are just so strong and the combination of Halberdier and Eagles are just amazing, and the skirms don't do anything right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have the numbers just yet to push this back, and Hera with the Trebs behind can start to deal with the little bit of movement and forward progress that Villese had made moving out onto the map. And at this point, it's just about the flood. Can Villese keep up the production here on the Knights, or the Cavalier rather, in order to keep that meat shield in front of the skirmishers? He's looking for a couple of Treb snipes. He needs to slow down the momentum that Hera has built for himself.
Absolutely. I mean, Villese is doing an amazing job. He is holding on. The unit he would need right now would be the Obuk, right? With the Obuk, he was just going to smash any form of infantry by the Mayan player. 2 traps went down. He lost a couple of cav in the trade though. And yeah, right now 150 population against 190. Hera is doing an amazing job keeping Villese pinned down to his base, but Villese, he is holding on.
Yeah, Arbalest out onto the field again. Not too effective against the Eagle Warriors, but fantastic against the Halberdiers. Blast Furnace coming in now for those Cavalier, but losing production buildings. That's 2 stables down here, so Villese can only create 4 cavalry at a time.
Yeah, that's horrible for him. Arbalests are doing much better job than the skirms right now, and Hera, is he able to capitalize on the advantage he has? It looks like he's going to be able to do so, and he's going to run out of gold pretty soon. He still has 27 on gold, but even with the 5 relics, he will run dry on that one very soon, and without gold access, he has no chance whatsoever to fight this army.
Cav numbers falling, rising, and finds himself a nice little pocket for those Arbalists to stick into. Jordan, the one thing I'll call out is there were 6 Obuk on the field.
How many castles does Villese have right now?
He only has 1 castle.
1 castle,
and
yeah,
unfortunately no armor upgrades just yet for those Obuk.
Yeah, that's...
If he can buy himself enough time for production of those, then all of a sudden the Mayan player without plumed archers doesn't have much of an answer.
Absolutely. The only option would be Arbalest himself there, but I don't think he has the time to do so. I mean, as you mentioned, nice pocket here for Villese to hide those Arbalest in, going for further expansion here on the Folwark on the north, but Hera is just complete dominating here, and the Obuk are trying to raid here onto those villagers. I feel like Hera needs a little bit more of the barracks because he only has 7 right now, if I'm able to see correctly.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Well, he heard you because he's putting another one up.
We have to talk quieter.
No, we're casters. Our job is to be as loud as we possibly can.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Inject the moment with hype. 64 military in the hands of Hera, 37 in the hands of Villese. Finally feels like he's got the ability to extend himself for a castle here in the center of the map. He'll have to defend it long enough to get the castle up.
Yeah, and Hera now takes the engagement here. The castle will go up here for Villese, there's no question about it, but it feels like overall Hera is just not able to push this, right? Like, he's winning the fight, yes, but Villese does such a good job in terms of the population, and he will use those cavalry now to snipe those trebuchet, and he is capable of buying himself more and more time. And the longer the game goes, the much more I like Poles here.
1 Treb goes down, can't quite get the second one, though he does have a bombard cannon that he can use to snipe it down, so will negate Hera's ability to push pretty quickly here. Hera just trying to do his best to take as much map control as possible. As long as he can hold the center of the map, control those necessary and rare resources like gold and stone, maybe he can outlast the Poles when it comes to unit spam.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate what we are seeing. We see so many tech switches, and this game, for me personally, is kind of a showcase how complicated the game can be, because now we see Hera, he sees the Obuk, and his response is going to the plumed archers. Exactly. He's getting all the upgrades already, and he's completely prepared for what is Villese going to throw at him. And we see 200 population against 160 right now. Elite plumed archers on the way as well. He had Thumbring as well, bracers, also the last armor upgrade for them. So he is, ready and says, yo, get at me.
Yeah, matching one elite unique unit in the O-Book already for the elite plumed archers, completing in just about 3 or 4 seconds here. Eagles looking to raid and disrupt the eco. O-Book looking to respond, however, a slower moving unit. They definitely have to do a lot of work to chase those eagles down. Trebs working away on the castle in the front. For Villese, still has that bombard cannon in defense, and so Hera's going to have to try and navigate around, keeping his trebuchets alive.
Absolutely. And, you know, Villese has only one more gold mine to take gold from.
Two on gold. Two.
But one more gold mine in the top, right? Like, this one will dry out very soon in his base, and then he only has the one in the top. And Hera obviously knows that, right? And he applies so much pressure onto that. And Villese, throughout the last 30 minutes, he has been really struggling to get himself up to 20 population. He's always been flirting with the 160 population cap, and now he's getting himself a little bit more time. But now Skirms is also not like the perfect unit, I would say.
Clicks the Hussar upgrade as well. Has 63 on farms for the Poles, which means he's going to have plenty of food eco to spam that unit out, create a meat shield for himself with plenty of skirmishers. So could end up being a trash war on the side of Villese with just some siege behind to try and make it all happen.
Yeah. Villese is doing such a good job, and I think this could be the first fight which is in his favor right now, because he has such a strong army, and Hera didn't have any eagles in the mix at all, and therefore the Skirms obviously had a good time here. And the bombard cannons, they're just pushing those traps away, and in all of a sudden, Dash, I feel like Hera feels the pressure of the Poles.
A little bit of a pause, a water break for both players, as you can see there. Got to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
It's been a 45-minute game already, and doesn't seem like we're, you know, anywhere close to it ending in a moment's notice. I will call out the fact that Hera just a moment ago had 20 elite eagles in the queue. 10 of them just popped out. He's got 10 more about to. And when you're looking at primarily a trash makeup on the other side, those eagles are going to be tremendously effective.
Absolutely. I mean, the winged hussars are pretty amazing, and you can spam forever with poles. And that is exactly what Hera didn't want to go into. Exactly this scenario. He still has a couple of minutes. But if he doesn't finish Villese in the next couple of minutes, then there's like no chance, I would say.
Hoardings architecture coming in for Hera. He understands the importance of keeping these castle positions up. He needs to maintain as much map control as he possibly can, as well as the control of the golds and the stones on the south of the map.
Yeah. The 5 relics, Dash, they are just amazing.
You said it could be the difference maker.
And it kind of,
and we're starting to move in that direction for sure. Some winged hussar looking to raid. These are great looks out of Villese. Just 3 units dealing so much damage.
Yeah. And the biggest issue for mines right now is how can they really get close to those bombard cannons? Villese is doing such an amazing job to, you know, always keep them in the back when they are about to being attacked here. And Eagles are now jumping into the fray, and they want blood here.
Looking for the surround. He separates out about 10 Eagles looking for the snipes onto the bombard cannons. Great micro out of Villese, though, to push them through the rest of his units. 2 bombard cannons go down. A third one looking to go down as well. And Hera, all of a sudden, with a little bit of a military momentum, 70 units to 18 all of a sudden.
The only thing which missing right now for Hera is the 2-3 traps to take down the castle. But Dash, I don't even know or think that it's necessary right now, because 73 army against 20. That's a snowball momentum right now for Hera.
This. The remaining Eagles now, he's going to go straight into dive into that eco, force Villese to deal with that while he buys himself the time to get these 3 trebs out onto the field and start pushing them back.
Absolutely. And Villese now with 150 population against 200 of the Mayan player, and he is really struggling. And if Poles is getting touched in terms of the economy, that's really yikers for them right now. And we still have a bit of gold remaining for Hera, so he can still continue getting eagles done with beautiful castle placement. Villese wants to get some ratings in, but Hera is prepared here, and he really needs to get the traps out as soon as possible. He needs to build or capitalize on the momentum he has.
Both players showing incredible awareness of where the important, you know, spots on the map are, right? Villese looking for that raid, but in that very moment that Hera's getting a castle up to protect that gold, Hera recognizes that this is the only gold really remaining for Villese on the top of the map. So he's using his plumed archers and the mobility that they lend to kind of continue to harass him off of that. Couple good Vil snipes there, but those winged hussar will be cleaned up, and the halberdier move in to protect these plumes from the remaining winged hussar.
And now Hera has a lot of trebuchet.
5 trebuchets.
5. And he's going to be able to kill that castle in no time.
Yeah, he says, Villese, I saw what you did to Viper yesterday on that final map with 8 trebuchets grouped up along Flemish. I don't need Flemish. I'll just produce 100 military units to support my 5 trebuchets. He's looking for his winning moment.
We have 100 here for Hera, and that is a big army. And how is Villese going to be able to fight that? Obviously, he can't. Like, especially he only has trash units, right? Like, it's just going to be such a tough battle for him. And now we see the full engagement. The Eagles loop around to kill the bombard cannon. Halberdiers are shredding the winged hussars, and the plumed archers are having a good field day as well. And Dash, I don't think there's anything Villese can do anymore.
It's looking like the final fight, and the unit control from Hera is just so phenomenal. He pulls all of the Obuk away with a pack of Eagles to make sure that the Halberdier get an uninterrupted engagement against those winged hussar. They completely melt them. All 5 trebuchets moving forward now with complete impunity, looking to take away those folwarks, remove the farming eco from the pole player. The spam won't be able to be kept up much longer if you start losing all these folwarks.
Exactly. I mean, Hera is running dry on gold, but I feel like he has timed that one perfectly because Villese ran out of breath. And, you know, I love this game. I loved it because it was such a great display by both players. The fact that Villese has been able to hold so long against that push of Hera was just amazing. And also, as I mentioned, the tech switches was just beautiful to witness. And
I mean, near every tech possible for both players was picked up by the end of that game. And Hera wins the Mayans into Poles matchup that we had kind of said perhaps was a disadvantage for him in the arena situation. So sitting up 2-0 now on set point already. Villese has a decision to make. Does he stick with a similar style map, a similar paced map in Fortified Clearing, his other home map, or does he look to switch it up, Golden Swamp, Frigid Lake?
I don't think so. I think Villese feels extremely confident in those closed maps, and he knows maybe if Hera has a little bit of a weakness, it could be the closed maps, because sometimes you have those monk shenanigans, which can be sometimes very random, as we saw sometimes. So maybe he's banking on that one. I would be surprised to see a Frigid Lake or Golden Swamp for him. And if we take a look at Fortified Clearing, what the civs could be here. Like, Gujaras for Villese is an option, or Hindustanis, one of those two, most likely. And if we take a look at Hera, we could see Khmer.
I think he goes Khmer, almost 100%.
And he loves Khmer. Yeah. Like, I think it's even his favorite civilization.
Because I think also he gets even more permission to go Khmer after watching TaToH Khmer on Arena from before. And you could take a similar approach where you just go for such a tight, clean Castle Age build into a boom, and then later come into military production, but with a massive eco advantage.
Absolutely. And the fact that Khmer don't need a barrack, for example, to get to the stable is also very beneficial, because you're saving 150 wood there. So getting out scouts earlier is a nice thing to get the relics on the map as well. And yeah, let's see. I hear a boar running already, if I'm not mistaken.
We have been crushing it with how quickly we can move from game to game. Here it is, set point for Hera in our best of 5, looking to get it done on Fortified Clearing. It is the Khmer pick. Villese brought us to this map, though, with his choice, and it's actually going to be the Aztecs. So that's where the curveball comes.
Very interesting. And, you know, picking Aztecs on Arena against Hera could be considered dicey, due to the fact that Aztecs was kind of the main pick for Hera for the last months on Arena. So Hera knows the in and outs for Aztecs on these maps. And Hera, I'm pretty sure he feels very confident, because, you know, him having Khmer in his hands is just like, nah, he's fine.
It's
he knows
a comfort
everything
pick,
there,
to say the least. All that said, Aztecs are Aztecs. And I will encourage everyone here for the first 10 minutes of the game to watch those res collected. And just by virtue of being the Aztecs, Villese is going to pull in so many more resources early on.
Absolutely. The fact that Aztec villagers carry three resources more compared to other civilizations gives them such a huge boost here. And I'm curious how both players are going to approach it, because, okay, we see Villese walling already. So that's a clear indicator he's not going to go for any feudal shenanigans at all. He just wants to play it safe, walls himself up, and goes for straight fast castle, most likely into one barrack, one monastery, just to get some relics in. With Aztecs, you get 33% faster gold income compared to other civilizations, so that's very handy. And Hera, I don't feel like he's that kind of feudal age player on this map, so I'm expecting a clear fast castle build by him. And yeah, ideally with Khmer you go up with 23 villagers into feudal age and then subsequently also into castle age, because you don't need the buildings.
Yep, a total of 9 relics on this map too, so if you're the Aztec player and you can manage to pick up quite a few of them, it can really net you a solid gold income.
Absolutely.
But as you said, looking for a castle age play for both players as they push in all of their deer, making sure they get up in as smooth a system as possible. Hera, like you say, I mean, look at the food count already. Ooh, okay.
Look at that. That was a doubt lure.
That's what we get to call misplay.
Misplay, and
a
now
major
finally
misplay out of Hera.
We saw a blunder from Hera now finally.
He's the cracks are showing.
Oh no.
Too funny, too funny. All right, but here we go. Yeah, very, very early walls for Villese. So just ultra safety. Doesn't want to get caught off guard by anything.
Yeah, and I'm really curious how Hera is going to approach this one, right? Because yeah, fast castle, I assume, and it is a clear indicator that we will see that. But is he afraid of potential feudal age aggression or not? Because if you go for a super tight Khmer fast castle build, and then all of a sudden your opponent comes in here with man-at-arms and towers, that's not going to be the best thing for you. And he has 22 villagers already. That's confirmed. No feudal age play by neither player.
So there you have it. 500 food in the bank for Hera. Would expect to see a feudal age click as soon as that 23rd villager is built. Villese investing into at least one more. But Hera already on his way out to gold. Villese already on gold himself. No barracks drop, so it's not going to be an early pressure out of the Aztecs player either.
Yeah, and I would say that is a perfect scenario for Hera, because he's just going to play his smooth build without any risk whatsoever. He didn't invest into any walls at all.
Yeah, so well, and to be honest, the investment into the walls made me a liar on the resources collected. Because I was saying that the Aztec player is going to have more, but actually if you factor in the time, because he took 2 villagers to wall, that's a substantial amount of resource income that you forwent in order to get those up.
Exactly. I mean, Hera has 3 farms already, if I'm not mistaken, so the Khmer farmer bonus is definitely kicking in as well, and it will only come more and more into the future as well. Even has 4 already, and Khmer, obviously, they don't have to drop off the food collected from the farm. They just go ham on the farm and just chilling, dancing there, and it works out for them.
Yeah, Hera just scouting out those walls. So again, understands that Villese himself is going to be going for that fast castle. We'll also know that by the fact that the feudal age comes in later for the Aztec player. But just like that, we have an immediate cat. That feels so good as the Khmer to just one upgrade after the other. Feudal in the castle.
How is that? Pac-Man, yeah. I love that one. Yeah. Just the fact that production always manages to find good situations.
They
good
understand
memes.
that we're on a closed map. They're helping us out. They're helping us out. They're losing it. They have nothing left to talk about. Put a Pac-Man face on the screen. There it is. They bought us 15 seconds. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. That's like professional communication, right? You don't talk to each other, but you still understand.
Yeah. All right. We've got Blacksmith and Market going up for Villese. As soon as those complete, he should be able to click up to Castle Age. Not too far behind, but we already saw the stable going up at home for Hera as Horse Collar completes. A minute and 15 away from Castle, so he's a minute and 15 quicker to that second age.
And that's huge for Khmer. That's just a dream scenario. It looks like Hera not opting to go for any... Okay, never mind. So we see the stable play. That's what I talked about earlier. You don't need the barrack. So Scout is very smooth here. It also makes sense, right? You don't want to give Aztecs the possibility to go for all the relics freely without any fight for it, right? You want to get the light calf out, and with light calf you will have the mobility. And Villese, if he wants to fight for those relics, and obviously he wants to as the Aztecs player, he has to force, or he is forced to invest so much into getting that. and that's not always the best thing for the Aztecs.
Yeah, already producing an extra eagle for himself, which again costs gold, and so if you want to get those monks out as well, it's going to take quite an investment of gold. Now moving 6 villagers onto gold himself. Double bid axe completes as Hera's clicking Bowsaw when he reaches the castle age. Love this already. 2 scouts into the center of the map, 1 on each side.
Yeah.
So I can catch you if you make your way outside of either of these gates. Fantastic scouting out of Hera.
Amazing. Most likely we will see a second TC as well, if I'm not mistaken, or is he only playing 1 TC to get the light calf?
Put something up at home. It wasn't a TC,
it was
but
not
it may have been a monastery himself. There,
right?
a monastery for
okay.
himself. So he really does. He wants to try and remove as many of the relics from the map for the Aztec player.
Absolutely, and I think that is very important to emphasize as well, because if someone would have added a second TC now, it would have been a misplay. Because right now, you want to invest the food into the light calf, and if you invest into a second TC, you're not going to be capable of producing villagers from 2 TCs and also simultaneously produce the light calf. So beautiful play by Hera. He acknowledged the situation and adapted properly, and now we will see a lot of dancing coming in. And you know, for Villese, this is going to be very hard because, as you can see, the mobility is clearly in favor of Hera. And
I don't envy Villese's position here.
Absolutely.
Attempting to bring in these relics. Sure, you've got the counter unit in the spear against those scouts, but
you have to hit them.
It's Hera we're talking about.
Exactly.
Oh, man. 5 scouts as well. The splits are going to be coming through. And so this one, here's my question at this point. If you see all of these scouts in the center of the map, do you just go to the outside instead and look for those relics first?
I don't think so, because if you do that, Hera would notice it, that you're kind of abandoning the middle, and then he's okay, if you're chilling, I will chill in the middle as well, get my relics anyway, because I have the information in the middle, you don't. Leave 1 scout there, and then the rest will be sent to the outside. So it's just a very tough situation, and I think the best bet Villese can go for right now is get those relics in, but very slowly. He needs to have all the eagles and pikemen surrounded to the monk, and this is just, you know, not the ideal thing. This
is where I wonder how much everyone's practiced their box formation micro.
Absolutely.
You stick 1 monk in the middle of a bunch of spears. Here we go, our first engagement. Hera's looking for it with the light calf. He does come in, gets the snipe, and before a conversion can come through, just 1 hit apiece onto 2 different scouts, and so that's a lovely trade for Hera to kick things off here in the monk and relic battle.
Amazing micro by Hera. We talked about it. I think there is going to be a conversion happening, and indeed a light calf has been converted by Villese, and this is huge actually, because the light calf can prevent Hera to get relics in if it is utilized here properly. We see it being defending though, and
look at this though. One hit with a single light cav. He pulls them away, gets another hit. Now the relic has moved a little bit closer.
That is a win in my books.
We're making progress. We're making progress. Slow and steady wins the race. And Jordan, I will point out that there is a 3rd TC going down for Villese behind all of this. Hera just now moving to his 2nd.
Yeah, and the 2nd TC is also being placed very further to the top here. So also villager walking time to get the TC produced as well. So it will take some time for Hera to increase his villager count. Villese is definitely going to be ahead in that regard. Also, he doesn't have to invest as much food as Hera has to, right? So
yeah.
Hera needs to, in my opinion, get at least 6 relics for this investment to be worth it, because otherwise he will just be too far behind in terms of the economy.
Yeah, husbandry on top of it all, too. Wanting that extra speed for his light cap to get the snipe. The gate is open.
He gets it.
I'll be honest, though, I'm not sure that's worth it. Because now you don't have 3 light cav out in the center of the map.
Yeah.
To do further damage. He did get a Vil snipe as well, and with that monk popping out, actually going to get another
snipe. Does he get it? Does he get it?
Oh, my goodness, it's saved so far. Doesn't get the
it.
conversion, but 2 light cav go down.
Yeah.
Starting to feel like a little bit more of an even trade, just with how much Hera was able to get with those 3 light cav. And forward with 1 monk now, the other closest relic to Villese. So 1-1 it will be in the relic counts for now. Oh, actually, while all this was happening, Hera found 2 relics that were relatively uncontested. Yeah,
and that is the huge advantage if you have scouts in your opponent's base, because your opponent is you know, forced to defend his own base, because as far as I know, Villese doesn't have a loom researched right now, so that's why the villager went down so fast as well.
Yep.
And it is just in general a nightmare to have.
Oh, don't tell me he. Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, the pikemen are there, but yeah, it's just a nightmare to have Hera scouts in your own base. It's just not a good thing to have there. And overall, the situation: 45 villagers against 51, and we see Villese opting to go for another relic here. I don't think he will get that one.
No, there's only one more relic to fight over here in the center of the map, and it's 4 spears and a monk against 4 light cav. Hera's going to be well aware of when this one gets picked up. The conversion attempt comes through, but Villese even abandons it, knowing that it's very unlikely that he'll get it. 1 light cav goes down for his troubles. Another monk already on the way to try and recover this relic.
Yeah, and this is crazy. Like, the moves Hera does right now is like, it's so hard to pull these things off. Like, he's pulling back the scout which is being attacked, while the other 3 are still focusing on the monk. It was just, you know, very, very nice monk or micro here by Hera. And Villese managed to get a second relic into his monastery, but we're talking about 2 relics now, 3 relics for Hera, but he obviously has the sights.
And will be 4, because he's already picked up one of those relics on the south. He has another monk forward in the south looking to scout, and so we'll even find this next one. Jordan, you had said it's 6 relics. That's the magic number for Hera. That's what he wants to get against the Aztec player, and he's well on his way to doing so. This would be the 5th relic right here. Yeah,
there's one in the corner here, as Vodka is showing. It's going to be a tough one to scout that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if no one... Exactly. The game might end with that relic still being on the map.
Absolutely, because it's so tough to spot. Usually they are a bit more forward.
Picked up the one in the north as well. So those are the 6 that we called for Hera to pick up. So as long as he makes it back to the base with those, he will be sitting pretty. Definitely. It is a small villager lead for Villese, although he finds himself housed here in this very moment. So villager production going to stall out.
Yeah, that's obviously not ideal for Villese, because every second counts in these high-level games here, and yeah, being housed is never going to be a good sign here. You know, it's kind of desperate what Villese has to do right now, because with those pike or spearmen, he's not really going to be able to achieve too much. Obviously, he will be able to kill the monk here if the wolf doesn't intervene here. But I don't think he will get that relic back here.
No, it doesn't look like he'll get the relic back, although Hera does still have the opportunity to deny it with the light cav that he has floating around the bottom side of the map. Jordan, the imp timings from Hera in this series have been just wild.
Absolutely. You can definitely tell Hera has, you know, prepared a little bit for this tournament. And now Khmer, obviously, they have access to Hera's favorite unit, which is Hussar. I mean, yeah, the pikemen are nice to counter them, but you have to run after them. Run after all the time. And we saw what Hera is capable of doing with those light cav here, and picks up another 2 monks here. It's just so tough.
Oh! Aztec monks.
Wow.
Aztec monks.
Wow.
Just enough health to get that conversion through. That said, on the southern side of the map, Hera trying to do something pretty, but okay, Villese pushes him away. He's going to continue his trek back to the base with that relic. Imp a minute away for Hera, 2:30 away for Villese. Hera also dropped a 4th TC after clicking towards Imp, and so basically evened up in the villager counts at this point.
Yeah. Now, the thing what I'm curious about is what Hera is going to do as a follow-up after the Hussar play. Because with the Hussar play, you obviously have great possibilities to rate the economy of your opponent on the sides. You are not able to wall your base. That's the hard thing about this map, right? It was modified a little bit. Usually in the past, you were able to wall, and then the main focus was onto the middle. But now the sides have become so much more important. So it's really a very tricky map in terms of the strategical standpoint. And we see Villese tacking into the Eagle play right now. Yeah, biggest question mark for me right now is what is Hera's follow-up after the Hussars?
Yeah, looking at his resources, I don't even see like a necessarily clear indicator. 5 on stone, but still well away from castle numbers, so won't be kind of following his pattern from the previous couple games where he goes forward with the castle and looks to kind of go with some immediate pressure. And instead will wait on bated breath. He's sitting on 1,000 food and 1,000 gold.
It's crazy. I mean, Hustler upgrade is going to come, right? He even goes for crop rotation. Dash, he wants a bit of a longer game. And honestly, I understand it. Like, he has a lot of relics, 5 guaranteed. The 1 relic still missing in the corner here. We see a little bit of engagement here. That's good for Villese.
Okay, so he didn't mind the stone, he bought it instead, but you're right, with this military force here, Hera has to second guess his castle placement in the center of the map. Instead, he's going to fall back to within his walls and drop it at home. Will protect both that stone and the gold, perhaps later can move out, but I have a feeling that we're going to see ballista elephants, because there's no other military units being created currently.
Yeah, and I think it's the only unit that makes sense. Villese has a possibility to counter the ballista elephants with monks though, but then Hustler counter monks, but the pikemen counter the Hustler, so
exactly.
It's super complicated, right? But I'm pretty confident that's like for Villese, Eagle, Monk, Pikeman play, and Hera will go for the Hustler and Ballista Elephant. And Dash, I think this game could last a little bit longer because both players set themselves up for a huge game here. We see 106 villagers for Hera, 95 for Villese, and Hera, he only has 3 military units.
I'm honestly flabbergasted that he is still sitting on just 3 military units, and now even 2 with that conversion going through. Drops a 5th TC in the north, so once again, he is settling in for a long one. Archery ranges being dropped in the back of the base.
I think Chimera have access to hand cannoneer. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, chemistry into hand cannoneer.
Oh, and hand cannoneer, and all of a sudden make a completely different scenario.
And there's
because
the Hussar click we were waiting for.
Hand cannoneer and Hussars are going to be very tough for Villese to deal against. And all of a sudden he will need Atlatl skirms most likely to deal against these. The big issue though with hand cannoneers, they're not the most mobile unit out there in Age of Empires. So he will have to rely fully on his Hussar play to keep those eagles at bay.
Once again, a small pause here for the players. Hitting Imp, they probably realize this one's going for another hour. Let me take a breath. Again, let's get that water. Let's get that hydration going.
Let's go. At this point, the table height adjustment is looking very promising.
It's beautiful. I think you found. I think you found the perfect height. You know how they put the stat in for the preferred height for the players? They're gonna have to add it in for the casters now too. What's the preferred?
If Torn is
58 centimeters, please.
If Torn is casting,
I mean, in this paused moment here, we can see that Villese is already looking to bring a fair number of these eagles back into the eco of Hera. Ooh, admin even being pulled into the room.
Huh, that's
Nili.
interesting. Very interesting. That's what you think they're talking about. I think it is game related.
You think so?
I think so.
I mean, I'm actually kind of curious. I want somebody to tell me after all. Like, what could you be discussing? What happens in Age of Empires that you need to pull an admin in, right? Like, I'm thinking that, like in League and in Valorant, these other games I work in, like occasionally there's a bug or something that requires a pause and pulling someone in. But I haven't seen anything that necessarily indicated to me a need for
absolutely not
a pause.
Absolutely not. Maybe Villese, and it's something I've not really paid attention to. Maybe Villese is complaining about the extra gold and stone spots. It could be an option. Maybe it's spawning unfairly, but I haven't paid attention to that. So it's my best guess because, like, usually you pull an admin in first 2-3 minutes in the game because something is bugged.
In now.
Like, that's very unheard of, right?
The only other thing I can think of is Villese saying, what's going on? My opponent hit Imp 4 minutes ago, and he has not produced a single military unit.
Are we playing the game?
Did he disconnect? I just want to pause to make sure that Hera is still in the game. Good guy, Villese, making sure that he's actually in the game. All right, well, we're unpaused and right back into it.
So I can quickly say what happened.
Yes,
There's a small bug where Villese sees some of the base of Hera.
Just has like omniscient vision of a certain area?
Yeah, it is a small area at the front of Hera's, and we thought it through. And I offered them, okay, let's continue. Like Hera offered, let's continue. And I said, if Villese is losing this position and has no units around and doesn't see it, then we'll restore and see if that could fix it.
Okay. There you go. Thank you for that information. But great to see the sportsmanship out of both players, right?
Amazing.
One, for Villese to recognize it and say, I shouldn't have this. Let me go ahead and pause it, get the admin in here. For Hera to say, let's go ahead and play it out. We're 30 minutes invested at this point. And I think also a wonderful decision made by the admin here.
Absolutely.
So Eagles come in looking for a raid, honestly get cleared up without much issue from Hera by those Hussar, but we do have pressure beginning on the front end of his base. Second Treb coming forward now. The Aztec push has begun.
Yeah, and just one quick sentence from me. That's something what I love about the Age of Empires community. It's just like, you know, very competitive, no question, but it's all ethically and morally on a good level, and that's something I absolutely appreciate. It's just a blessing. And you know, with Khmer you don't have access to bobbard cannons, so you know, sniping those trebuchet is not going to be an easy task here. And Villese is mounting down a lot of pressure here with eagles, pikes, and traps. We will see more traps coming. I'm pretty sure both players also getting outposts on the sides to get the extra vision. And now we will see an engagement. Hand cannoneer hussars against monks, eagles, traps, and pikemen.
Yeah, 53 military to 25. That's the first look that Villese has gotten at the hand cannoneers. So now is aware of the fact that he's going for those ranged units. A very tough engagement here for Hera to take. Thinks about it with the Hussar. Ooh, perhaps a little bit of miss micro there as he stops the units. And unfortunately, a bunch go down. A few more Hussars, though, coming in from the backside, looking to clean up those Aztec monks. But they are tanky at the very least. Now the hand cannoneers are forward, looking to rip through those infantry. But the numbers are well in favor of Villese.
Absolutely, and that is the biggest problem for Hera right now. He just doesn't have the amount of units he needs right now. He needs like 40 hand cannoneers on the field, and he just doesn't have the possibility to get that. Castle will most likely go down. He just doesn't have any stone anymore to repair. Population-wise, still looks extremely healthy for Hera, but most of it is just in villagers and not in army. And Villese, he's capitalizing on the fact that Hera, you know, he was a little bit indecisive with what unit he wants to opt for, and therefore Villese takes momentum here and pushes through the middle.
Classic Khmer farm placement in the late game. It's nice to know you don't have to place them accurately. Second armor upgrade coming in for those Hussar, but losing the castle at the front of his base removes a lot of the safety that he feels. Only 17 hand cannons on the field as of yet, and look how many production buildings are being dropped forward from Villese now. He feels like this game is well within his reach.
Absolutely, and Villese yesterday showed how well he can macro. The game against Viper, for example, on fortified clearing, he was just able to win that game, even though I was like, yeah, that was sure a Viper win, but he managed to pull it back, and now he's in his comfort zone. And he managed to get 3 relics for himself, so he's kind of matching out or equalizing the relic count for Hera, relic income. And now with these eagles, he's going to be able to kill a few villagers as well. And Aztecs, they produce faster as well. There's a lot of things going on positively for Villese right now. And you mentioned it, Dash, the fact that there is a hole here makes Hera's base so much more vulnerable.
Yeah, Hera trying to use his mobility to his advantage by looping those Hussar around, but Villese well aware of that attempt by Hera. Means that he's got the pikes in place to defend against it. 4 trebs rolling forward. Just a massive ball of army here from Villese. Hera looks a little bit lost for what his answer is in this moment.
I love what Hera is trying to do. He tries to pull Villese apart here with those Hussars, so he loses the focus, but Villese, he's just too good of a player to let that happen, and we see a huge engagement coming in. I think Villese is taking the win or the fight here, because I feel like the hand cannoneers and the Hussars are just not capable of really finding the value they are searching for.
Yeah, top-notch micro out of Hera to make the attempt, but you can see how difficult it was. Only one treb
repair dash
is going to fall in all of that. And so the pressure continues here for Villese. A couple stables going down, a lot of farms now under threat. And you can see Hera's pushed to the limit in terms of his resources. While he does have 60 on farms, he's basically out of gas when it comes to food.
Yeah, and he is plummeting in terms of population as well. Villese managed to get himself a 20 population lead over his opponent, and look at that castle, which he is trying to place as well onto the farms of Hera. And Hera he's struggling right now. He will be able to kill the trebuchet on the top here. A little bit of a blunder by Villese, but that's just a very small one because he has the momentum going for himself. And I don't think, Dash, that he will be granted enough time here by Villese.
Just as he's hitting a critical mass number of hand cannoneers, you see the elite skirm tech come in.
Yeah.
And he's forward with enough of them to start dealing with those hand cannoneers. And once again, for Hera, his army comp requires so much food, hussars and hand cannoneers, and he just doesn't seem to be able to amass enough to really snowball a push back. Another pause.
Another pause.
I thought it might be a GG moment, but it's another pause.
I'm interested. Like, Nili has to run now over to
Nili's
the player.
getting a workout in.
Yeah. Maybe they do it for Nili.
I think the players heard that Nili didn't hit the gym this morning because you and Liereyy, I'm told, were out at a gym this morning, which is impressive. You get up. Your sleep schedule is
you know, I wanted
next
to
level, sir.
I wanted to pay back after yesterday. I told Liereyy, come here. Let's go gym.
Exactly. If I lose in the game, I go win in the gym.
Yeah, exactly. I lost there as well.
Build muscle in response. Well, again, Nili kind of already walked us through, and he did say that if we end up in a losing position there, that they might rediscuss where they're at in all of this. So we'll wait to see what the declaration is when Nili makes his way back out here.
What are the odds, Dash, that Hera is now telling Nili that he sees a space in Villese's space?
I would have to. I doubt that he's seeing a space in Villese's space.
I doubt it as well, but I was like, let's be funky.
I have a feeling what he'll tell us here is that they're just going to attempt a restore to see if they can work through the bug, possibly.
Okay. Got it.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, situation right now is apparently Hera's audio is getting maxed out and basically resets to 0 from time to time.
Ooh.
And now we're trying to investigate, especially with Monk plays. Obviously, that's a bit tricky. And so, two completely unrelated issues in this game, trying to investigate what's happening now.
Okay, thanks for the update,
No problem. Well, we've got our incredible production crew on it, as you can see, already in there looking to troubleshoot. And so in the meantime, Jordan and I will do our best to keep y'all entertained.
Absolutely. You know, I also want to mention, like, yesterday, today, I think, like, the production crew has done a fabulous job. Like, it is so funny. Like, previous game, for example, Liereyy against, or where Liereyy and Hera were casting. No, that was the second set. It was the second set.
Yeah, it was the second set.
It was just hilarious.
Yeah, we were basically playing Where's Waldo, but with Hera and Liereyy, trying to find them throughout the map. Incredible meme potential from the production team throughout the whole. I mean, this event, I will say, I mean, what a first land for me to get to attend.
Amazing.
I absolutely love it. I love the atmosphere. I love the fact, that you go from casting, being in it and all that kind of stuff, to then being able to pick the brains of the pros that maybe you just saw go play.
Absolutely.
And it's been, and I mean, the idea that you can go up against an opponent and then go to the gym with them the next day. I know we joke about it, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty dope. And maybe something you only find in a scene like this.
Yeah. And it's like in Age of Empires, the pros are just all friends with each other, right? Like, we respect each other. We're getting along very, very well. And it's just beautiful. You can only appreciate that, right? And for me personally, NAC, also, it has a special flair to it. I was there in the first edition, second edition. And for me personally, it's just the best tournament in Age of Empires. And we are hopping back into the game here. I suppose the game is running smooth again and everything is fixed. And we saw that Hera was under a lot of pressure. 157 population against almost 200 here by Villese. And Dash, I think if that castle goes up, that's going to be very yikes for Hera.
I think it's a near GG moment if the castle goes up. That said, he does have one Treb working away on it, but Eagle's going to find it and make quick work of that Trebuchet, no problem. Also, all 5 relics were ejected, so some of that gold income that Hera was happy to have had and also denied from the Aztecs player is not generating any gold for him. Second Trebuchet pops. Hera says it's not enough. I'm going to call the GG here. Let's move on to map number 4.
Yeah, and that was, beautiful play by Hera. The only thing where I would say was a little bit questionable was the fact that he took a little bit of time to make the choice in Imperial Age.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Other than that, until that point, he built up himself very, very nicely. Yeah. But also big credits to Villese. And that's the thing which I mentioned earlier when we started the set. He's mentally like kind of like a robot. Like he doesn't care if he's 5-0 down or if he's 5-0 up. He will play every single game like it's a normal game, and that's one of his biggest strengths. And
absolutely, he's unfazed. He's unfazed, exactly. No matter what the situation is.
He doesn't care, right?
And Jordan,
so good.
I am 1,000% with you. Again, it is nitpicky, but in that criticism of Hera, you make it to the Imperial Age with around 700 wood, 1,000 food, 1,000 gold. I want to see you being able to invest that immediately.
Obviously.
And make use of your quicker Imperial Age time.
Yeah.
The fact that you didn't have the archery ranges up just yet, the fact that you didn't immediately click chemistry to get yourself to those hand cannoneers, we could be looking at a different outcome.
Absolutely.
If he had hit a critical mass, had those 40 hand cannoneers that you were asking for, as opposed to the 15 to 20, which is kind of the number he was stuck at for the remaining aspects of it. But here we go, 2-1. For the first time in the series, Hera is going to have the opportunity to choose the map, and he gets to pick between his 2 home maps. If he wants to end it here and now, it's hard for me to imagine he wouldn't go Persian's Frigid Lake.
Absolutely.
Just because it is such a dominant civ on their perfect map.
Yep.
So that will be my expectation. And then the question becomes, okay, in Villese's shoes, since you know likely what you're playing into, between Hindustanis, Gujaras, and Lithuanians?
It will most likely be Lithuanians, because Lithuanians is the only civilization out of these civs that can match the uptime from Persians. Obviously, Persians will still...
Because of the extra food. Or
exactly. Persians will still have a little bit of a lead, especially they produce their fire galleys, I think, 10% faster in Feudal Age. So that always helps a lot. And the docks are like almost like castles, right? They don't die. They
are castles.
Yeah, they don't die. Yeah. So you always have a presence guaranteed on the middle. And the middle is very important because it has fish. If you get the fish, you have a better economy. It's just a chain effect right there. So if we will see a Frigid Lake, then for sure those 2 civs will match each other. And on Golden Swarm, I suppose we will see Hindustanis for Villese. Could be Gujaras as well, though, because he played that in the qualifiers against Dogao. So both options there. And for Hera, he just loves Italians so much. So I would say Italians would be the play here for him.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll find out soon enough what the players... It looks like Hera may be taking a quick bathroom break.
Yeah.
To totally respect, this has been a long series already with just the 3 maps. These players are really pushing each other to the limits and testing every aspect of each other's gameplay.
Absolutely. And that's a good thing as well, because the 2 previous sets were rather fast. So having a bit of a longer game is always a nice thing to have.
So while we have a moment, I'd actually like to ask you a question that I asked Viper following your set, which is how your preparation and approach changes when you're going up against a teammate. Somebody like, TheViper or TaToH, where you've invested so much time in prepping for the event itself along with that person, theory crafting and strategizing, scrimming against each other. And then this is all before we even talk about just your familiarity as a player against TheViper. Maybe the pro that you've played the most games against in your lifetime.
Absolutely. Like, we know each other in and out, right? It's just... We have played on a high level for a long time with each other. So we know each other extremely well. We are also like practicing so much as well and exchanging the thoughts there. So it's tricky. And if you face a teammate, then there are a lot of mind games involved as well. So it is hard. I think Viper does a bit of a better job there, outsmarting me so far. It's just very tricky. But also, most of the time, it's also about execution. And that's where Viper really excels as well.
What are your takeaways from that series? Again, I know it's a 3-0
It cannot get worse.
Okay.
Or,
hey, do you find that to be like a freeing feeling? So, I mean, like, I know it's not a position you want to be in. But we talk all the time about, like, when does the pressure disappear for a player? And, are you at that point?
Yeah, like Nili asked me yesterday, do you want to cast? After he told me I face Viper. And I was like, it makes sense. Like, should maybe get a second way of, making content in Age of Empires.
Oh, no. No, my friend, leave that to me. You can't steal our content.
Hey, sharing is caring.
Because I don't have the option to become a pro, okay? So you stay away.
Okay.
All right. No, I'm having a brilliant time casting with you here today. But here we are into map number 4. It is going to be Frigid Lake. It is going to be the Persians for Hera. No surprises there. And Hindustanis, as you... or no, Lithuanians was actually what you had maybe suggested, so it's going to be Hindustanis instead.
Very interesting. We saw that pick from Vinchester yesterday. He lost that game against TaToH. TaToH was Persians as well, so we have exactly the same matchup. And with Hindustanis, obviously, you have the bonus of cheaper villagers. And food is rather scarce on this map, so it makes sense to a certain degree. However, they don't have anything going for them if we're talking about water play. Persians have a huge lead there. So I'm really curious how Villese is opting to approach that one, because Hera is going to be lightning fast. He will... Okay, he actually... how many villagers they have? 16. Okay, usually goes up with 17 villagers, 2 fishing boats and 1 scout, so 20 out of 20. But I'm not sure if he does that, because he is 25 or 20 out of 25. So it looks like he will delay his uptime just a little bit more.
Yeah, kind of an interesting approach, but overall, Hera with a very nice eco advantage early into the game, and this is just on display, the power of Persians on this map, getting that dock up early, first fishing ship out early, so already has a 1 fishing ship lead along with the villager league. Loom clicked now, Feudal to follow, and for Villese, he's going to have to stave off some water pressure here, being later to Feudal.
Absolutely, and Hera is going to be so annoying now against those fishing boats. I wonder how Villese will react to that. If he reacts at all, is he just going to chill there and repair that fishing boat? I think that's what we will see, right? Okay, no, he's chasing after that bad boy. And Hera already has won a little bit here, because he forced a little bit of idle time off the fishing boat, and the fishing boat is now gathering fruit further away from the dock. So it delays Villese's food income just a little bit here. And yeah, the uptimes are not too far away from each other. So let's see what Villese will be able to do on water. But as I mentioned earlier, Persians' fast production should overwhelm on water.
Yeah, an extra fishing ship to work with here for Hera. Just about a 10-second lead to the Feudal Age. Has 6 villagers on gold, so that would mean a second dock will be dropped. And there we see it just now. This is going to be really, really tough, I think. And you see Villese even pulling villagers back away from his dock, so maybe willing to concede water entirely.
I think he doesn't even bother contesting the water at all. And do I see it correctly? The dock has not been finished by Hera. He wants to get a barrack up as soon as possible, and I absolutely love that adjustment here.
Is that just a sixth sense? Or did he saw the villagers walk away?
He scouted the fact that there is no extra dock and only 1 fishing boat. And if you have 1 fishing boat, you usually don't want to contest the water, because it's not really that worth it, right?
You're not saving much in that regard. And so yes, he'll take the wood that would have been a second dock and now puts it into a barracks for himself. We've got double bid axe coming in for both players. So matching eco upgrades there. Ooh. And just one... is that demo?
A demo, yeah. Okay. Demo is a clear indicator of I don't want to even...
fish.
Exactly. I don't even want to bother fighting for the fish. I just want to pop up the demo onto your fish boats. And this should be a good engagement for Hera. And Villese takes a little bit of
no honor. That was a 1v1 between scouts. No honor.
Complete disgrace.
Yeah, absolute disgrace. You should have left it up to a coin flip. But here we go. Fire Galley out onto the map. Going to make quick work of that fishing ship. Hasn't yet seen that demo, actually, because Villese, skirted it around vision, but has already split. I love this move by Hera, splitting the fishing ships up, saying, all right, if you were to go for a play like you are, you're not going to get a 2-for-1 trade.
Exactly. This is just very, very smart play by Hera. And yeah, Villese doesn't have anything better to do than wait until that fishing boat has 15 food on it and then explode onto it. And that's exactly what he's opting for. It will get the kill here, also damages the fire galley. So that was a good move by Villese. And the archer range is up for both players. They're producing archers here, and blacksmith incoming as well by Hera, and this can be very dangerous for Villese because he doesn't have as good of a food income. Okay, never mind. He has 9 on food while Hera has 7, so it's not as bad. I love the transition by Villese. really, really good. And, you know, in these kind of situations, micro is so important. And also, you know, like, Hera has one of the best archer micro out there. Villese obviously amazing as well, but Hera just a little bit better.
Yep.
And if he's capable of stopping that blacksmith from going up, then this could be extremely dicey.
Yeah, production even a little quicker. So 3 archers out onto the map and forward already for Hera. Villese really trying to force this blacksmith down. Does get it and will fortunately be able to save that villager. Fletching, though, already completed for Hera means that Villese needs to buy himself time. 15 more seconds until Fletching comes in for himself, and Meluzaville does just that.
Yeah, beautiful by Hera. He's just being so annoying here, and keep in mind, this is the only food income which Villese has right now. So this is the most crucial part of his map right now, and you know, I think he will be forced to add some skirms in as well, because this is not a comfortable position to be in right now. Hera is just doing so much damage here, and those villagers' HPs go down so quick here.
Yeah, 4 archers to 4 archers right now. Another one coming forward with Hera to make 5 and have a small numbers advantage for a moment, but with reinforcements closer for Villese, they're going to be matched in even numbers. So like you say, it comes all down to the control of these military units, and unfortunately for Villese, you're doing that in the midst of your eco.
Exactly.
The villagers and their efficiency is being disrupted throughout all of this.
Exactly. I love the move by Hera, going for the armor as well. And with that, he's going to be so comfortable here. And Villese, he's actually forced away from these berries.
Oh,
and that means
2 farms and all of his berries.
Exactly. And that means the only food income he has right now is in the back here. Nice pick-off by both players. Villese seems to be a little bit more focused here on the micro here. Hera was not as confident in his micro as usually, but I'm sure he focused on other things here. And I gotta give credit to Villese. He managed to get a lot of food or farms out in the back, so that was very well done by him.
He's holding on quite well in that regard.
Absolutely.
But while we've been focused on this side of the map, Hera's actually dropped a 2nd archery range. So he's looking to create overwhelming numbers in the face of Villese. And because he's forced Villese off of so much food income, it's actually hard for him to get skirms out onto the field.
Exactly.
He's kind of forced into archer v archer, and when you just have less production, it's not going to work out well for you.
Exactly. And even a stable being played or placed by Hera.
Hera
it's
just
he seems to be...
I feel kind of gross.
Absolutely.
Like, I need to take a shower after a gameplay like this, man.
Absolutely. Like, Hera is not taking any prisoners today. You know, those archers with potential scouts coming in as well. It's just so rough for Villese to deal against. One villager could go down as well. No, never mind. He saves that one. And overall, we see 3 fishing boats for Hera as well. Resource collected should also not look too shabby. 1,000 more.
Yeah, nearly 1,000 exactly.
That's insane.
He's got a 6 eco advantage, not just because of the fishing ships, but also because those Persian TCs are doing work back at home, creating a small villager advantage. Armor upgrade for the archers completes on Villese, so they're even in terms of the upgrades on those ranged units. But we now have the scout armor coming in, as well as a couple scouts in the queue. So again, Hera just 1 step ahead every point along this map.
Yeah, he doesn't even bother with skirms. He will go for the archer and scout combination. And Persian scouts, they get +2 attack as well as a bonus against those archers as well. So that's very handy. And if Hera somehow manages to get bloodlines as well, that would be just the nail in the coffin.
I like this move though. Villese understanding he needs to create some kind of a counter attack, but Hera with the 6th sense looking to get the walls up. Did not scout those archers coming forward. Probably has an idea that there's archers coming forward because he hasn't seen anything. Forcing a tower up on the gold is Villese, but he doesn't get it up in time. And 10 archers is all you need to do incredible damage to a feudal age economy, and that's the GG moment. Villese knows it.
Oh, that was tricky because Hera, you know, he was a little bit vulnerable for a few seconds on the top. And if Villese goes in there with archers, he's going to be able to deal some damage as well. But obviously, the attack Hera went for with 10 archers, 2 scouts, that was just way too much for Villese to handle because his archers were not part of his army. And I personally think, like, I saw so many beautiful moves here by Hera, and he managed to, like, the fact that he deleted the 2nd dock and built a barrack instead.
That's such a heads-up
Beautiful.
play. Such a heads-up play. And I can't fault Villese for really much of anything that he did in that game. Again, the attempt to go for the counter really felt like his only option, because if If you stay in the game state that you were, sure, you might live 10 minutes longer, but it's still a loss.
Exactly.
And so really his only winning play was to create some kind of a counterattack, but Hera understood that, okay, I'm not seeing that resistance. You know, on the one side of the map, his army must be going somewhere, so I need to dive in and do some damage. Then he wraps it up just like that. I believe Hera's over on the couch. Do you want to run the interview? Do you want me to run the interview? You want to go together? I'll go. I'll go. Sounds good. Follow me over here, my friend.
Find someone else.
I got 2 microphones because that's how dominant it was from you that I needed to be equipped with 2 microphones to talk to you. No, Hera, fabulous victory. I want to get a sense from you how you feel about your matchup against Villese. You know, from a pundit or an analyst standpoint, most people cite you as being one of his worst matchups, that stylistically you are paired well against him. Did you feel that way coming into the series?
Track record against Villese. However, I do feel like he was in really good shape, and you know, a lot of people don't talk about this because it's not that important, but he's ranked 2 on the ladder right now. He's been playing a lot of games. He always takes tournaments seriously, so I knew he was in shape, and yeah, I felt like it was pretty even today, actually, 50-50-50. You could have went either way.
Yeah, very cool. Let's just start working through some of the maps because it felt like you were firing on all cylinders across it all, Japanese into Byzantines. We had a lot of focus on that southern pond, but you managed to get really solid control against Byzantine fire galleys. What about these engagements in the bottom you felt like gave you the upper hand?
I think it was only the, well, it was a combination of 2 things, the faster uptime that I get with Japanese and the demo ships that I kept landing, you know, here and there. Wasn't the greatest shots, but, you know, I got a couple decent ones. But one thing he did nice is building the 2 docks together so I can't hit like through it. That was really good, honestly. I think that should be the standard of play.
Yeah,
right
that
now.
Little bit of that little crevice there
gave
his repair villager a lot of safety. I mean, I love that we showed that snipe that you had on one of the gold villagers.
Oh, yeah,
that's just a little something, right? Ekes out a small advantage. Also, I don't know if you were aware, the timing on that dock in the north, he built a galley expecting you to come to the north, and you had completed the dock just before that galley comes out, and that also felt like it could have been a turning moment.
Yeah, I think I was actually late going there, so I was really lucky to not get denied by that galley. And yeah, the fire obviously beat the galley, so that was fortunate for me. And yeah.
You rethought this castle placement, initially putting it on the hill, moving it even further forward. I mean, I have to imagine that at this point with pond control, you felt like the game was yours for the taking.
Yeah.
And it really was just about putting pedal to the metal.
Yeah, I thought I was, you know, way further ahead. I don't need to camp the hill. I can actually win the game. So I just castle forward, start walling him in, and he's on a timer right away.
All right, Arena. Jordan and I were calling Civ disadvantage for you, Mayans into Poles.
Yeah,
and this was a very difficult game for you to close out. In fact, once you lost your 2 castle position here in the front, I actually felt like maybe it was all lost. How did you recover?
I honestly don't know what it looked like from the numbers perspective. Like, I never really played one of these games. I picked mines last just to throw a curveball at him. But I did feel like I lost after the 2 castles dropped. My whole plan is to kill him before his 5 relics pay off, before the Poles late game comes. But he did a great job holding on here, and it just turned into a dogfight a bit later on. Also, he hung on to those trebs way too long, I think.
Yo, I mean, yeah, watching your halberdiers attempt to take this down, and yeah, just like 4 villagers preparing away in the face of those halbs was pretty wild. But all of the castles go down for both of you in this position. I think over the course of this game, nearly every single military tech for both players was picked up at some point. And so, again, in the end, I think it really came down to your positioning with castles around certain important resources and recognizing that at a certain point his only gold option was in the north. I thought you did a really phenomenal job navigating your plumes up there to continue disrupting that, and then eventually punch through on the eco in the front.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, Poles with 5 relics don't need that much more gold, but you don't want him to get any extra gold, and you want to take all the gold yourself, because I need a lot of gold.
Yeah.
So that was my whole game plan after the initial fail. I was complete, like, adaptation mode, but I think the late game was really good. I think well played from both players, honestly. Like, he didn't really make that many mistakes. I think it came down to me getting the last fight that I needed, and then if I lost, I lost, and if, you know, I actually just won it, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably my favorite game of the series, simply because both of you seemed kind of pushed to the limit. He did forgo second armor upgrade on his Cav for quite quite some time, which I wonder if it could have made a difference. Hard to say, in all honesty. You guys are maxed out here in population for the majority of the game. But you did such a good job of keeping him penned in. It felt so difficult for him to really expand to the point of like farming eco, full work eco, that he could really keep up the spam like he wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. I was basically constantly on a timer versus the full work and the 5 relics. Looking at the stats though, I'm up 20 vills. I feel like I should have actually ended the game earlier, but I honestly think his defense was brilliant. Like, look at this. He kept sniping my trebs and just buying himself time, which is what he needed.
Well, that's where I feel the difficulty of navigating a civ without bombard cannon, right? Your only option is trebs, but therefore it's like, if I don't have a castle in defense, and he still has the ability to build a bombard cannon to remove those. Also, just his ability to play the walls here with the arbalest. It's like, how do I punch through this, man?
That was really, really well done.
But you still managed to in the end. Yeah, this is like, again, watching all these full works come up. Even this castle as well. I mean, the game just kept going.
Look, so many big battles, like one after the next. It just felt like I was losing because I really don't want to play late game. And at some point, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to sell. I deleted my vills. I deleted 40 vills. I wanted 40 more military. I said, it's one fight. 5 trebs, 100 military, and I go for it. You're going to see it come up. Because I wasn't winning. When it was 60 versus 60, I wasn't winning. So.
Yeah, you're right. Well, because it was interesting there, actually. At the beginning of that fight, you had 70 military. He only had 35. And that just shows, to your point, the power of like the value of his military units to yours.
Mine are cheap, but they die fast, you know?
Yeah, so here we go. Still 130 vills. I wonder if we'll catch it here in the highlights. Because I'll be honest, I did not see the 30 vil delete from you. I did, in the end, see the 100 military. I just didn't realize that you had the heads-up play to delete the villagers to make that happen.
Yeah, I had to. In fact, I think I should have done it earlier as well. Actually, it was I was so dehydrated. I was about to pass out. But yeah, I think this is not it. Cause I'm still at 120.
Still 120.
But like, I'd always win the fight, but I have no siege because you can snipe that. And
exactly.
I don't win convincingly enough to jump under his castle. Like, I have 30 military extra, but just no siege.
Here it is. This is it. Okay, so you've just
100, and that was the difference. Like, we saw 3 fights where I have 20 less military. Now we see the 1 fight. Look at my resources. If I lose, the game's over.
That's a good point.
And I just went. I focused. I didn't look at my economy. I just focused 100%.
Your micro here is fantastic. All of these Obuk start following the eagles around the top side, so they do no damage to the halberdiers. Your halberdiers completely shred these winged hussar, snipe the bombard cannons in the back, and then you had built up the 5 trebs. Is that a lesson from Villese yesterday in his 8-treb game against TheViper?
Yeah, that was one thing he did extremely well there. And I actually kind of learned it from Liereyy as well. He was kind of the guy sniping castles that way.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, I actually thought I wasn't, I still wasn't completely winning at this point. I'm going to look at the numbers here because I thought he can remass, but maybe he just couldn't.
He's totally strapped on food, which is pretty incredible with 65 farmers as poles. But yeah, just kind of pushed to the limit here. And like you say, you're still sitting at 93 military at the end of all of that, but completely at the limit too. So
that was all in.
Wow, gets it with a phenomenal heads-up play in that regard. Then we go over to Fortify clearing the 1 win for Villese here as Aztecs. Thought you did a phenomenal job at denying relics, to be honest, against the Aztec player.
I thought I did really well this game. I was feeling really confident. I don't know where it went wrong, but yeah, I thought I did perfectly fine. I think he played really well too. It was like kind of, you know, we both ended up with even relics that had a slight advantage. But yeah.
So I will ask you the very pointed question, which was something that I called up during the cast, is you hit Imperial Age with over 1,000 food, over 1,000 gold, and like 700 wood in the bank.
Yeah.
And you had 3 military units.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to do. I think that's where it kind of fell apart. This was a pretty big advantage for me as well. But yeah, to your point, I think in Imperial Age, I should have rushed chemistry, got to my comp a lot earlier. The comp was actually kind of obvious. Like, it has to be Hussar hand cannon. But I needed the hand cannon mass early, because if I start getting raided, then the game is too hard. I need to be in control so he can't move forward, and then maybe have a chance. It's still dicey who's winning, but...
Right, because our idea was, at this point where you feel like you have to move out with the hand cannons, you only have 17.
Yeah.
If that was 40, like maybe it's a difference maker,
Exactly, and imagine, like, I'm not fighting here, we're fighting in the middle of the map where I can move around. Like, now I'm just repairing my castle, so I think that was the turning
true,
point.
You originally wanted to put a castle out here, right? And then you moved it back into a more defensive position.
I was way too slow. Yeah, I think that was the turning point, honestly. Not saying I would have won otherwise, 'cause I think it's a really hard matchup. Like, it's pretty even in late game.
Yeah.
But I think that's where it just became really hard for me.
Yeah. I mean, the good news for you here is you're at a 2-0. advantage already. And looking at kind of the remaining maps and civs,
yeah,
it felt obvious that Persians and Frigid Lake were going to come up next. Yeah. We got a bit of an indicator of what the pauses were about. There was a pause on either side. You were having an audio issue, and Villese was having a vision bug where he could actually see a little bit of your base, I think.
Yeah, he saw a little bit of my base. I don't know how much, but it was, I guess, not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And then the audio bug, it was really annoying because, like, I have the NBL Voodoo mod, and I don't know if you know about that. I know the viewers know about it. And the volume would spike super loud. Oh. And so I'd have NBL in my ear like crazy. And so I turn it down, and then it goes back to being really quiet afterwards. And it was... It wasn't that impactful. Once again, it's not like a game ruiner thing, but it was just, you know, too much NBL in your ear is just never a good thing, you know?
Totally. Yeah, so this one, I think as soon as these trebs start get targeting by the Eagles and with him placing a castle in your base, fair to call the GG when you did. That brings us to Frigid Lake. Persians, no-brainer civ pick on the map there, the most dominant civ on that map. He goes for the Hindustanis. Jordan was actually floating the idea of Lithuanians being like the presumed pick against Persians. So were you expecting Lithuanians?
Yeah, I was 100% expecting Lithuanians, but I think he wanted to save Lithuanians for Golden Swamp.
So playing for the win.
Because he has to win too, right?
Yeah, so that's a good call.
He figured, you know, this is the map I can go with the weaker civ, but I honestly, like, this was just autopilot for me. I win water guaranteed with Persians, and then after that, it's making sure I don't die.
Yeah, it's such a tough position. I don't know if you can see on the minimap, because I don't know if you scouted that.
Oh,
he took his archer. He was looking for a counterattack. It was just one opportunity to get back into it.
As soon as I didn't see his archers, I knew he was coming. I thought he was on the bottom, so I towered the bottom. But yeah, he was on top, and he actually got in, so he had some counterplay, but his whole base is about to collapse.
10 archers into the back of his eco makes for easyville snipes, and so you wrap it up in 3-1 fashion, continuing to scale through the tournament. Now you're in interesting position at 2-0, where your teammate Liereyy will be playing later in the day, also has the opportunity to go 2-0.
Yep.
And so with that, 2-0, you'll essentially, let's assume Liereyy wins.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to play either of those. How are your feelings on those prospective matchups without knowing who you're actually going to face?
I think the best case scenario is that I face Mr. Yo, and Liereyy faces one of the 1-1 guys in the next round. I think if we face, it's not the end of the world, but it's not the good scenario for us because we want to face as late as possible, ideally, to guarantee top spots. But yeah, I think if I face Mr. Yo, I'm feeling pretty good about that matchup. And I think if he can take out one of the 1-1 guys, that puts us in a really good position.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird to have a teammate in a 1v1 tournament because like it's your practice partner. But if we go up against each other, then you just play for the win, obviously.
Totally. Well, regardless, at 2-0, you've almost essentially locked yourself top 8 already in bracket stage. Nice. So now it's all about seeding.
Yeah.
Right? You want to get yourself as far down the bracket as possible. Yeah. If I could get the matchups next, we could talk real quick about what the next set of the day is. We'll get Hera's thoughts before we dive into it. It's going to be Liereyy and TaToH to close things out.
Yeah, that's a really good matchup. I honestly feel like Lierey's the favorite. I don't think it's going to be like a dominant victory because like TaToH's a really, really strong player as well. But, you know, we'll see what happens. It's definitely an important round, though. Like, Liereyy, this is a big win for him. So.
I'll be honest. I just want to see another outcrop game where a GL player tries to take down Liereyy, and we get to see some of that micro. But I'm kind of with you. We're set up for a banger for a 5th series of the day. I think Nili's standing by to take things over here as we gear up for that final one.
Indeed, I am. Thank you so much. Congrats.